Shabbath Shalom, Nawathan, Kal Halalim, Wahawad La, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rechaha Kodash. Double honor to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of the great millstone who rule well, who teach well, and salutations to the elect. Okay, enough respect to your brothers pushing this gospel, this good news the world over, in sincerity and in truth. Excuse me, alright. Abaratazah, which means Father willing. So, Father willing, this lesson is edifying. So, today we will break down the book of the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 15. And this is a short chapter, just 8 verses long. Alright. And the subheading says Jerusalem like a useless vine. Right? So, the Lord is making a comparison between Jerusalem and the vine, the useless vine. Okay, and Jerusalem is a people before a place, all right? In the previous chapter, chapter 14, all right, that dealt with the wickedness and idolatry of not only the Israelites in Jerusalem, but also the ones in the captives, all right, that were in Babylon, because you had false prophets among them, but you had also the so-called elders that were privately worshipping idols, and yet they would come to inquire of certain things of the Most High via Ezekiel, all right? His name in the Hebrew is Yakazak Allah, which means Yahweh strengthens, all right? So the Lord was basically telling them that he's going to make an example out of them, all right? And if you come to inquire of the Lord and you're out here, worshipping idols, it's not going to end well for you at all, okay? So Ezekiel chapter 15 verse 1 reads, "And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, what is the vine tree more than any tree, or than a branch which is among the trees of the forest?" Okay, so the Most High is making a comparison here between a vine tree, and maybe a cedar tree or any other tree in the forest. Okay, verse 3, "Shall wood be taken thereof to do any work, or will men take a pin of it to hang any vessel thereon?" Meaning that, when you deal with a vine tree, in fact, let's just get one up on Google Images, all right? You look at it, all right? Here are some, all right? See that? That's how it looks, all right? So when you deal with a vine tree is not like regular other trees. The nature of this tree is not cut out for things like building, all right, and stuff like that. So the Lord is saying, can you take the wood of a vine tree and use it for building purposes or work? All right, which of course is a rhetorical question, because the answer is no. All right. Verse 3 again, "Shall wood be taken thereof to do any work, or will men take a pin of it to hang any vessel thereon?" Okay. Meaning, take the wood and turn it into something like a peg so you can hang things on. All right. You wouldn't be able to do that because the vine tree is not cut out for that. It's not meant for that. All right. That's not its purpose. Okay. The vine tree is not good for that. Okay. Verse 4, "Behold, it is cast into the fire for fuel. The fire devoureth both the ends of it, and the midst of it is burned. Is it meet for any work?" Okay. Verse 5, "Behold, when it was whole, it was meet for no work. How much less shall it be meet yet for any work, when the fire hath devoured it, and it is burned?" So pretty much the fruit from the tree and the resources, etc., is useful, of course. But in terms of the actual wood itself, all right, if it wasn't good for building or good for anything, while it was still whole, how much less would it be when you burn it? And that's the point that the Most High is driving home. Okay. Verse 6, "Therefore thus saith the Lord Power, whose name is Yahweh, as the vine tree among the trees of the forest, which I have given to the fire for fuel, so will I give the inhabitants of Jerusalem." So that's the comparison right there. The Lord is comparing Jerusalem to this vine tree in terms of building, because here he's saying you're pretty much good for nothing at this stage. All right. Let's get precept in the book of Psalm chapter 80. Start at verse 7. It says, "Turn us again, O God of hosts, and cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. Thou hast brought a vine out of Egypt. Thou hast cast out the heathen and planted it." Okay. Here it is, the Lord. All right, I brought you out of the land of Egypt. I delivered you. I gave you this good land. I did all these things for you, all these good things for you, and you would serve, and you would serve me, do the things that is pleasing unto me. All right, you are my people. Okay, that's the contract between me and you. All right, but right now you're doing whatever you want to do. Okay, all right, and of course that got on the Lord's nerves. Okay, committing spiritual adultery by worshipping these other false gods, plus all sorts of evil doing, such as murder and all that in the land. All right, what's your purpose? What good can I use you for? Okay, you're likened unto this vine tree that does not serve any purpose. How much less when it gets burned? All right, let's go to another precept in the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 5, the parable of the vineyard. All right, Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1. And it reads, "Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill." Okay, and the vineyard is Israel. Okay, that represents Israel. Verse 2, "And he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes." All right, wild grapes, different philosophies, idolatry, corruption, injustice. All right, this is a prophetic parable. All right, describing the Lord's, care for Israel and Israel's failure to live righteously. Okay. "And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes." Okay, the Most High asking a rhetorical question to show that, he provided every possible advantage to Israel, yet they produce wild grapes, idolatry, moral decay, things of that nature. All right. Verse 5, "And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down." Yeah, removing the hedge, breaking the wall, represents the Lord withdrawing his protection. Okay, "and it shall be trodden down." The Gentiles devouring us, invading us. All right, since Israel refused to live justly. I will allow foreign heathen nations to overrun them. Okay. Verse 6, "And I will lay it waste, and it shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it." Okay. All right. So yeah, the Lord again, removing his protection. All right. Of course, pruning and digging are essential vineyard tasks, to help actual fruit grow. All right. So, spiritually, the Most High is withdrawing his nurturing guidance and blessings. Okay. Briars and thorns. All right. Symbolize, sin, suffering, desolation. The vineyard that's overtaken with thorns is no longer productive. All right. All right. And that reflects how Israel's unfaithfulness led to their downfall. All right. So yeah, that was judgment. Verse 7, "For the vineyard of the Lord Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant, and he looked for judgment, but behold oppression, for righteousness, but behold a cry." Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Vineyard Israel, the pleasant plant, the people of Judah. Most High makes it explicit. All right. So yeah. Yeah, so hey, the Most High invested, deeply into his people Israel. All right, just like a farmer would tend the vineyard carefully. All right. But instead of producing the fruit of justice and righteousness hey, Israel produced corruption. All right. That's why, hey, the Lord did what he did. Okay. So yeah, go back to Ezekiel chapter 15. Okay. Read verse 6 again, and it says, Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, whose name is Yahweh, as the vine tree among the trees of the forest, which I have given to the fire for fuel, so will I give the inhabitants of Jerusalem. All right. So the Lord is saying, after you know, after you remove the fruits from the vine tree, the next thing for it is basically good for is fire. All right. After you remove the fruits from the vine tree, the next thing it's good for fire. All right. At this point, nothing is good is coming from you inhabitants of Jerusalem. So at this point, you're only good to be given to the fire. All right. That's a comparison right here. All right. Verse 7, and I will set my face against them. They shall go out from one fire, and another fire shall devour them. Okay. In other words, there is no escape. Destruction will come upon them all from all sides. Okay. And ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh when I set my face against them. Okay. Meaning, instead of the Most High looking over Jerusalem, looking over Israel to do good, to give, that former and latter rain, to make the land fruitful, to protect you and deliver you. Instead of that, he's going to set his face against you. Okay. All right. So the Lord is saying that now he's going to start treating you like the enemy. All right. As if he's the adversary. Just that. Okay. Withdraw his spiritual blessings from you. All right. Verse 8, and I will make the land desolate because they have committed a trespass, saith the Lord power, Yahweh. And this time it wasn't going to be completely desolate. However, desolate in the sense that he was going to destroy it and break it down and remove the bulk of Israel, if you will. All right, pretty much from the land and send them over to the lands of their captivities. All right. So that's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 15. Right, the Most High making that comparison. All right, and from chapter 1 up until chapter 15, up until this point, the Most High has been telling Ezekiel about the wickedness that Israel has been doing and the judgment he's going to bring. So he's letting him know before it comes to pass, so that when it comes to pass, there's no confusion and it's clear as to why the destruction of the Most High was the way it was. All right. So I'm going to close the lesson there. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. All right, of the nation of Israel. In closing, Kal Halal Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash, Mawatla Babal, and Shalom to the elect. Shabbat Shalom.